Bada boom, bada bing. We are in there. Let's see. Now, let's do this. See if this works. Bam. What is it? Why isn't it locked? What is going on here? See, it's always some little technical difficulties. What the heck, man? See, it's always some BS. What the fizzle fazzle drizzle drazzle dizzle dazzle? Hold on 1 second, folks. I'm trying to get this right. Move this out the way. I'm trying to get this right, dog. This thing used to just pop up easy. What? That doesn't even make sense. Oh my goodness, I guess I'm gonna just have to do this then. 1 second, folks. I'm still trying to get this right. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and play it. I can play it. What the heck, man? Hold up, bro.
like different every single day. Every fight night, different judges. Those three judges, that's all that matters. The fight's over. It is what it is.
I didn't give it. I thought Manny won. I thought he won hands down. I thought that tibia was just hard to give Mario rounds. You know, I thought it was hard to give Manny rounds.
He didn't make him exert his energy at 46. Was that a big problem for Mario?
Yeah. No body work for Mario. You know, he wasn't consistently going to the body, and you know, I thought he left a lot. In the ring, he left a lot in the corner. Yeah.
Where does Manny go from here, man? He ahead of this fight.
Pac got tired last few rounds, but
Ladies, listen up. The video showing the pink salt trick that melts belly fat while you sleep has already passed 21,000 views on TikTok. Want to see how simple it is to make? I'll show you right now. Honestly, I don't want to sound rude, but I'm done repeating this pink salt trick. This is the last time I'm sharing it here. The truth is, if you've been using salt and ice once a week...
Super close fight. I thought Pac won, but it was a super close fight, man. Yeah. Could win either way.
Who won, Devin? I think Manny won 7-5.
Yo, man, Pacquiao won that shit. Yeah. Oh, wait. I always wrong with these numbers. 10-2. I had a 10-2. Oh, you know what? 9-3. I always have it wrong with these numbers.
What'd you think about the fight? Why'd you think Manny won?
Velocity, like the amount of punches that were connecting, and then every last 10 seconds and stuff, he was just showing the more aggressive punches. So
Manny Pacquiao won, man. I think they just couldn't give it to him. He coming out of retirement. They didn't want to make it look like it was favoritism. But if you go off punches, more active, who landed more, I give it to Manny Pacquiao.
What's next for him, man? He was dropping names like Gervonta Davis prior to this fight.
I want the island boy with a patch on his eye.
No.
I am so proud of Manny. He was unbelievable, great performance, legendary fight. He won.
style and the instincts that defined his legendary career. De La Hoya believed Pacquiao's experience against a wide range of opponents would give him the edge. Ultimately, he made it clear he was rooting for Pacquiao to triumph over Barrios.
I'm rooting for Manny 1,000%, obviously.
The people wanted him to win because they want the rematch with your father, Mayweather. Is that still on the table after this? What do you think?
I don't know. You gotta ask him.
Senior, how did the 46-year-old legend look?
Yo, that was unbelievable. I thought he was going to slow down a lot after the 7th. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I told my son, you going to get a second win or he going to slow down a lot, man. And he didn't, man. I had him winning this fight, bro. That was crazy. It wasn't even like competitive, man. Barry wasn't even throwing.
He didn't make him exert his energy at 46.
Yo, he looked scared as
Y'all hear me?
Yeah, he felt something.
Where's Tio?
You think it was a draw?
Tio.
Nah, hell no.
How'd you have it?
Yo, at least 8-4, you know.
So is that Mayweather rematch still on the table with this draw, or is that do you think that people won't want to see it no more because of the draw is kind of tainted, or?
Nah, man, Manny looked okay today.
Yeah.
Man.
So you go with the rematch, Mayweather.
I think they should do it.
Come on, you want to see the ticket? Oh, you want to see the ticket? Look at this. Let's see. Where is that? Come on. Where is it? You gotta look.
Hey, why did you think it was gonna be a draw?
You want to know my answer? Yeah. He'll tell you. What I tell you?
He said,
Manny don't lose in Vegas, so he gotta have a draw.
I said the casino don't want to let Manny lose. So the casino don't want to let Manny lose. And I knew it was rare, right? Because Mario Barrios just came off of a draw. But I said, man, I don't know why. But it's right there, baby. It's right there. First ticket.
You guys are blocking the
First
exit. We
ticket.
gotta move to the right.
Wait, how
much
you won?
You won $8,500.
Easy work. Easy work. I don't know. Maybe I know boxing. Maybe I don't. I don't know what I know.
You thought
I know
it
a
was a
few
draw,
things.
though, Pete?
Look, what I tell everybody, Mario Barrios has a good jab. I said his strength is his poise. He stayed poised and composed the whole time. His jab was really good tonight. I said, and he needs to make the old man. He needs to make the old man use those legs. He did.
I think he got it. Hey,
But Pacquiao, you know, he was popping in, but he was getting caught a little bit on the way out. It was, look, I try to explain boxing to y'all. It don't matter what you think. There's 3 judges, and they're different every single day. Every fight night, they're different judges. Those 3 judges, that's all that matters. The fight's over. It is what it is.
I didn't agree with the draw. I thought Manny won. I thought he won hands down. I thought the activity was just hard to give Mario rounds. You know, I thought it was hard to give Manny rounds. He didn't make him exert his energy at 46. Was that a big problem for Mario? Yeah. He didn't push him. No body work for Mario. You know, he wasn't consistently going to the body, and you know, I thought he left a lot. In the ring, he left a lot in the corner. Where does Manny go from here, man? Ahead of this fight, he was home, man. Go home, man.
No more fights.
Go home and.
Pac got tired the last few rounds, but I thought he did a lot early on. So I thought he won, but it could have been a draw. You know, it was a close fight either way.
Regardless if he won or a draw, do you want to fight him next?
Of course.
But what happened in that fight, Rolling?
I want a Hall of Famer on my resume.
I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
He's going big in someone at his prime, and, you know, getting the draw is, I mean, in this case, best case scenario.
Yeah. Where should you go from there, man? What do you think?
I mean, if he wants to fight, keep fighting.
Yeah. What about, they were name dropping guys like Gervonta Davis ahead of this fight. Should he stay away from a young puncher like that, or what? Manny, or what do you think?
If he feels that he can handle it, only he knows.
Yeah.
I mean, we're no one to judge. We don't know how he feels. If he feels that he can handle it, he just went 12 rounds with Mario Barrios and tied. So, I mean, that says a lot.
That's a good sign. So, if he gets another camp, do you think he can wear out some of that rust or something?
Yeah.
Cool. Appreciate you, Brandon.
Yes, sir.
Congrats. What do you think about that Mayweather-Pacquiao rematch now? With that draw, does that take away anything from the potential rematch being big? Or?
Bro, Pacquiao's a legend, bro. If Pacquiao and Mayweather fight, I mean, everybody's gonna be there. It's gonna be sold out. You know what I'm saying?
There was name dropping Gervonta ahead of this fight. What do you think about Pacquiao and Gervonta? So you stayed away from that young guy, or what do you think? Young guy like that big puncher.
You said who?
Gervonta.
What about him?
Pacquiao and Gervonta. There was name dropping them prior to the fight. Should he stay away from that, or what?
I wouldn't want to see it. I think Pacquiao, you know, whatever fight he's gonna be in, it's gonna be a star-studded. It's gonna be action, and you know, like I said, I take my hat off to him. 47 years old, still doing it.
This the art.
Not yet, not yet. I thought Manny won.
Yeah.
I thought Manny won.
This the art right here.
Tia, is he gonna fight?
Hey, how'd you see the fight?
It was good.
Yeah?
I thought Manny won.
You thought Manny won? Hey, so where does Manny go from here? They was talking about Gervonta Davis, possible Mayweather rematch. What do you think's next? Should he stay away from Gervonta or what?
I think Pacquiao should fight Mayweather.
Mayweather, you think that can happen with this draw? You think the draw makes it a little less viewable, you know, like marketable or whatever?
No, I think Pacquiao, he still got it, bro.
You know, just relax. You know, listen. We've seen Manny on the end of bad decisions before. Timothy Bradley, excuse me. The Jeff Horn fight, you know. And shout out to Tim. I know how you feel about that. It's okay.
All right.
But this is what he's got to deal with. You can't go through a camp, do what you just did right there. We saw all the heart, everything that we've always seen from Manny.
And then you get a draw.
And this is the result. Shout out to Mario. He made the fight difficult just from being a big guy who is a better boxer than I realized. Came to the ring with a true game plan to try to box and be patient, find openings and things of that nature. I don't think that Mario did enough to win. I don't think he did enough for a draw. I think that there was a lot more that he could have done. But the main thing is the style that he chose to box was actually a good style to use against Manny Pacquiao. They were saying that they were going to come right to the middle of the ring, and they did. But they came to the middle of the ring, and then they circled, they moved, they worked behind the jab. Not enough jabs, not enough of everything for Mario, you know. So I really don't agree with the draw.
What up, what up? I think that was clearly a Manny win.
Yeah.
But they had to keep the draw because, you know, Vegas. You feel me?
What's next for Manny, man? What do you want to see from Manny?
Oh, he's fighting again. He looks too good.
He looks too good. All right, cool. How did Manny look?
Oh my goodness, you can still box, man. All the heart, man.
Yeah, 100%.
How did Manny look?
I thought he won.
You thought he won? What's next for him?
That's up to him.
Yeah. Would you like to see him fight again?
He gets to make those decisions.
Thank you, Jim.
Many boxing legends, fighters, and analysts had shared their predictions ahead of the much-anticipated clash between Mario Barrios and Manny Pacquiao. Now that the fight has concluded, it's interesting to look back at what they had to say and how those predictions held up in the ring.
I think that Manny's not too old to win this, and I think that Mario does fall in line as being the perfect opponent for him. And even more alarming, and I'm really trying to figure out, is this smoke and mirrors?
First and foremost, Oscar De La Hoya, who once faced Manny Pacquiao in the ring and lost, had voiced strong confidence in Pacquiao ahead of the bout. He advised Manny to rely on his natural style and the instincts that defined his legendary career. De La Hoya believed Pacquiao's experience against a wide range of opponents would give him the edge. Ultimately, he made it clear he was rooting for Pacquiao to triumph over Barrios.
I'm rooting for Manny 1,000%, obviously, because you know, we shared the ring, but age is age. I mean, you just never know. He's going in against a young fighter, you know, who's hungry, obviously, who has the skills, who has the punch output. Look, it's one thing to train hard and feel great, but it's another thing to be in the ring in an actual fight at 40. What is he? 46? Yeah. Hey, Manny, go out there, do your thing. Use your thick calf legs to just run circles around him.
Most significantly, renowned boxing analyst Teddy Atlas had also weighed in before the fight, highlighting Barrios' size, skill, and relentless approach. He underlined that he posed a real threat and shouldn't be underestimated by Pacquiao or his camp. Yet, despite his respect for Barrios, Atlas found it hard to root against a legend like Pacquiao, given his legacy and what he represents. Ultimately, Atlas admitted he was personally hoping to see him come out on top in this pivotal late career bout.
There's nothing not to like about Barrios, but I'm not afraid to say my heart would be with Manny because of all the things I just said. Not against Barrios. I'm not against Barrios. Barrios is a special guy, but Manny is one of a kind, and I would not bet. I would be. I wouldn't be shocked to see him do something that is very, very, could be, you know, very unlikely that 46 years of age that he could do this.
Another important personality, Freddie Roach, Pacquiao's longtime trainer and one of the key figures behind his storied career, made a bold prediction before the fight. He confidently stated that the bout would end in less than 3 rounds. Roach placed his full trust in Pacquiao's power, speed, and experience to dominate early. Reflecting on his prediction after the fight, it stood as a testament to his unwavering belief in the boxing legend.
Freddie Roach back on the big stage, Mr. Freddie Roach back on the big stage. How you doing? You guys ready? You ready to come back and be vintage Manny Pacquiao tomorrow night?
Pacquiao's gonna kick ass.
Who is gonna kick ass? All right, thank you. Great.
3 rounds or less.
All right, 3 rounds or less. All right.
Furthermore, Juan Manuel Marquez had boldly predicted that Pacquiao would become a world champion once again on July 19th. While he acknowledged Barrios' physical edge due to the age gap, Marquez noted that experience would be the deciding factor. He praised Pacquiao's ring IQ, calm under pressure, and adaptability as tools that could neutralize Barrios' youth and aggression. Confident in those qualities, Marquez believed Pacquiao would overcome the odds and reclaim championship glory.
Good luck for both fighters. I don't know. It's dangerous. This fight is dangerous for Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao has 46 years old, but he's professional. He's training hard and every day. I think. Let me tell you something. I think Manny Pacquiao is the new world champion. I think so.
I think so too. I agree with you, man. I look him every day in camp with him. He looks amazing. Speed, power, mentality.
Yeah.
What do you tell man if he's watching?
The most important thing is experience. Experience is for Manny Pacquiao. His power, speed, and everything. I think Manny Pacquiao is the new world champion.
Moving forward before the fight, Eddie Hearn, like many others, also praised Pacquiao as a true legend capable of anything he set his mind to. However, he consistently rejected the idea of him competing for a world title on his comeback, arguing it wouldn't be fair to other fighters actively chasing those belts. After the fight, his stance on the fairness of Pacquiao's title ambitions continued to spark discussion within the boxing community.
I think that you can't really ever criticize Manny Pacquiao. I mean, the guy's a legend, you know, and he's definitely got the right to do whatever he wants in the sport. Should he be fighting for a world title? Absolutely not. You know, should he be installed in the rankings immediately at what, number 5 or whatever it is?
Yeah,
after
I
being
believe it was 5, but the WBC retracted on that and said they made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, before the fight, Keith Thurman was concerned about Barrios' defensive weaknesses, predicting they could be a key factor in the bout. He praised Pacquiao's unmatched ring control and high pace, stating that those attributes could still overwhelm a younger opponent. Thurman believed that if Pacquiao fought smart and brought his signature intensity, the momentum would quickly swing in his favor. Reflecting on his prediction, Thurman had made it clear that he saw a clear path to victory for him and trusted the veteran to capitalize on it.
And if Pacquiao can get in, you know, I know he can hurt Mario Barrios. I hurt Mario Barrios on multiple occasions. Tank hurt him. So I know Pacquiao can hurt Barrios. I think that's the one thing in Pacquiao's favor. Mario Barrios was hurt against Ramos, right? So that's the thing, is the defense of Mario Barrios is still suspect. You know, he is there. He is willing to get caught. You can catch the kid. Not hard to find.
Further delving into fighters' pre-fight predictions, Shane Mosley had voiced strong confidence in Pacquiao's readiness leading up to his clash with Barrios. Reflecting on Pacquiao's intense training camp, Mosley praised the veteran's sharp focus and impressive preparation. He believed Pacquiao had a real shot at reclaiming a world title, largely due to his enduring competitive spirit and tenacious mindset. For Mosley, it was Pacquiao's unwavering dedication that made him believe the legend could emerge victorious once again.
I think that he's going to do, like me feeling the way I feel right now, I think that he's going to do really, really good. And I think that it's a really strong possibility that he wins the world title. He gets up every morning, he does his run, he works very hard. I'm listening to what he's doing and his mentality. Oh, I talked to him the other day. I was like, he sounds exactly like me. My mentality, he has my mentality. Like we have the same, we're like walking the same type of thing. You know, he's 46, I'm 53, but it's like we're almost the same.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like I'm in pretty good shape too. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Just like him. So I think that he's going to do, I think that
can do really, really good. I don't really know Barrios like that.
Terrence Crawford, while preparing for his own blockbuster clash with Canelo Alvarez, also talked about this showdown. He echoed the views of many by highlighting Pacquiao's wealth of experience as a major advantage. Though mindful of the risks tied to his age and the challenge of facing a young, hungry champion, Crawford believed the Filipino icon still had the tools to prevail. In his view, Pacquiao's ring IQ and veteran savvy would be key to securing a victory.
Manny Pacquiao returns next week, age 46. I know he's someone you've got a lot of admiration for. You're both pound for pound greats. Goes against Mario Barrios. Can he pull this up?
Guys, I'm about to cash a check for $180,000 and get my entire car loan paid off. I'm getting...
Pac is back. 8-division champ Manny Pacquiao makes his triumphant return. In his way stands WBC champion Mario Barrios. Plus Fundora versus Zoo 2 in an epic rematch.
What a gutsy battle!
And Pitbull runs it back against Angel Fierro.
Can you say fight of the year?
It's a stacked night of hard-hitting title fights. Pacquiao versus Barrios, Saturday, July 19th, live on PBC pay-per-view on Prime Video.
You see it, man. Marcus Hayes, Fight Hub TV with my dog, Charleston White. Charleston, man. Hey, man, I just saw you had a fight down there. What was that, in Florida? What was that?
No. Won't nobody let me fight but Nashville.
Nashville was the only one.
So no doctor, no boxing commission, no boxing official would approve the fight. So we had to go to Nashville.
Shout out to my people in Nashville, man.
Do you think books, all right, do you think school children at school should have access to books in their library which involve strap-on dildos?
If the person is brown, they need to be rounded up and put into quote-unquote alligator Alcatraz, a concentration camp in Florida. If the person is white, we let them start a business and become Elon Musk.
Do you know how many people Barack Obama deported in 8 years?
I don't know and don't care.
Well, hang on. You don't know and you don't care. The majority were brown.
Absolutely disingenuous argument, Piers, because this is your shtick.
It was your shtick.
It is your shtick, and everyone knows that it is.
It was your shtick. People got bored with it. Have you watched Brokeback Mountain?
No.
You posting on your blog that you wouldn't watch Brokeback Mountain because you don't want to see two male characters having sex. Your words, not mine, Joy.
And your point is?
I've actually got Michael Knowles waiting in the wings.
Great.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him?
This is about to be real.
The MAGA base is at war over the Epstein files, but hostilities have not ceased on the Democrat side either. This week, former President Obama told a DNC fundraiser that it's time to toughen up and stop whining, navel-gazing, and being in fetal positions. He urged Democrats to stand up for the things that you think are right. The problem, of course, is that Democrats don't agree on what they think is right. They are only united in saying that Trump is wrong. That point was illustrated in colourful language by former CNN host Chris Cuomo.
I don't give a fuck how many likes you get on your comments by hating Trump, because it doesn't win the race. You get 42, 44%. That's what just happened. Trump sucks doesn't win the race. My frustration is with you thinking you keep doing the same thing, which is just pound on this fucking guy, which is easy enough to do, but you don't win the race. So now what you're doing is doubling down on Trump sucks by outrage and making your own MAGA. I don't think it's going to work for Democrats.
All right, this feels almost illegal to know, but our windows were so old and just desperately needed to be replaced.
That's exactly
So
what
I
they're
called a
doing.
few contractors, but they all quoted me a hefty $10,000 or more for new windows, and I almost lost it. That's when my friend, who's a realtor, stopped me and said, if you're a homeowner and your windows are older than 5 years, you might qualify for this new 2025 window replacement service. At first, it sounded too good to be true, but it turns out he uses the same service for all his clients, and a lot of people regret not knowing about it sooner, because the savings are serious, you guys. I applied, and in less than 2 minutes, I was approved for energy-efficient windows, and there are only 3 requirements. You've got to be a U.S. resident. You have to live in an eligible zip code. Your windows need to show visible signs of aging. You can click the button below to see if you qualify for new windows.
Well, 8 months on from the election, it's not clear who is leading the opposition or which direction it will choose. There are the pragmatic centrists like Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg, who are socially liberal but hyper-focused on electability. And there are the radicals like AOC, Bernie Sanders and Mamdani, who want to burn it all down and start again. Many people, myself included, saw Trump's victory as a culmination of a huge backlash to identity politics and its unhealthy obsession with racial justice, woke activism, and demonizing opponents. Many people, including myself, saw Joy Reid as a strident advocate for identity politics, exhibiting an unhealthy obsession with racial justice, woke activism, and demonizing opponents. But she can respond to that because Joy Reid, who hosts the Joy Reid Show on YouTube, joins me now. Joy Reid, welcome to Uncensored.
Piers, thank you for having me.
Well, we've never met, I don't think. We've never spoken to each other. I think we've locked horns a little bit on social media in the past. I think I'm blocked by you on X. I can't remember what crime I committed, but probably Trump-related. Just first of all, what Barack Obama has said and what Chris Cuomo said there, has that given you pause for thought about what the Democrats should now do? Because it's all very well just shrieking constantly about how evil Trump is, but it clearly hasn't worked now twice. You know, the fact that the guy went away for 4 years and then came back and won again was an utter repudiation of the tactics to beat him, wasn't it?
Well, first of all, I'll say I have not blocked you on X Twitter because I haven't been on X Twitter since Elon Musk acquired it. I actually left the platform, so there might be someone posing as me who's blocked you. So
I think it was prior to Elon's purchase.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so this is an interesting conversation because there is no one who is more obsessed with racial identity politics than Donald Trump. He ran the most racial identity politics laden campaign that I've seen in my lifetime. And I've been following politics since I was 12. The point of his campaign was, if I was to sum it up, that immigrants, whom he identified as gang members from Venezuela, as people from S-hole countries, as essentially any non-white migrant or immigrant in the country, were vermin who were poisoning the blood of our country.
Well, he was talking about criminal, illegal immigrants. He was talking. Well, hang on. He was talking. You can't misquote him off the top. This is my point, though. This is my point. I remember. Let me just say something, Joy. I remember when he won in 2016. I was at the New York Knicks the next day with my eldest son, and Chris Rock was there at the next table. We got talking. I said, why do you think Trump won? And he said, you know why? He said, if someone's murdered 8 people, stop going around saying he's murdered 9. And he didn't mean Trump had actually murdered anyone. What he meant was, there's plenty to criticize Trump about. I've done it myself many times. But there's also a lot of stuff that resonates with people. And I think it's the over-exaggeration, the over-demonization of Trump is part of the problem. And your characterization of his depiction of immigrants, you said the word immigrants. Actually, what he was talking about repeatedly on his stump in his rallies was specifically illegal immigrants who come in illegally, who are criminals, who are already convicted criminals, who've come into America across the southern border in huge numbers, who are criminals. He wasn't talking about non-criminal immigrants, as you tried to put it there. So there is a difference.
False. No, first of all, it's absolutely false. Let's talk about, for one example, the Haitian immigrants in Ohio. These are people who were in the country on a legitimate visa, who were actually improving that community by taking jobs desperately, where people desperately needed to hire and did not have any, enough American-born employees, and they were hiring these folks. They were taking badly needed jobs. They were improving the community economically. He accused them of eating people's cats and dogs. He characterized them as if they were animals. These are people who his own administration had allowed into the country on a legitimate visa.
But I agree with you.
First of all, I'll stop. Let me just.
But I agree with you.
So his all-encompassing term about immigrants being vermin and poisoning the blood of the country was all-encompassing because it included them. And in his mind, it included anyone who he said came from an S-hole country, meaning if you came from Nigeria, if you came from the Gabon, if you came from any country in Africa. He in a blanketed way depicted immigrants, again, with Nazi terminology, vermin.
Well, let's leave Nazis out of it. You know what? Whenever people...
let me finish
but Joy,
my
it's taken you what? It's taken you 4 minutes and you've called him a Nazi already. Come on.
And now, what we're seeing are masked federal agents sweep.
And see, this is how you know she ain't learned nothing. This is how you see it. Right here. She's still spewing out the same bullshit that got her fucking fired, man. Crazy.
Up cooks.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you.
Abuelas, people who work on farms, picking up dishwashers, any brown person, and Tom Homan said, based on one criteria being their appearance. It's overwhelmingly brown and some black people. We're not seeing them sweeping up white folks on the street. Donald Trump ran a racial identity campaign. And yeah, this is America. That is appealing to, unfortunately, a lot of Americans.
Well, actually, it turned out to be very appealing to Latino Americans who voted for him in record numbers. More Latinos voted for him than voted for Kamala Harris, the non-white candidate. More Black Americans, African Americans voted for Trump this time round than first time round. So for
Not true. Statistically, it was the same. Same number of black Republicans voted for him that always
more black Americans voted for Trump this time than last time.
It was the same. And by the way, this is the other challenge. There is a phenomenon, and my family are immigrants. And there is a phenomenon among immigrants of slamming the door behind themselves. And by the way, more Latinas, women in the Latino community voted for Harris. But there is a phenomenon. If you talk to people who actually are in the community and study this and spend a lot of time on it, journalists who studied it, there are a lot of Latinos who want so badly to identify with Americanness that they identify against fellow immigrants. That is not a new thing.
No, but maybe they weren't identifying. Maybe they weren't identifying. But Joy,
that's not new.
Maybe they were just
blackness. Let me respond to that. Latino community is not new. It's
let me respond to that.
Exists.
Maybe they were just sick and tired of people like you, and I say this respectfully, but people like you constantly calling Trump a Nazi. Maybe they thought it was ridiculous.
Maybe
to compare...
don't call people vermin and say they're poisoning the blood of our country. That's not the terminology. Don't use it.
You have repeatedly, over the last few years, called Trump a Nazi. Now, the Nazis were the most despicable, awful human beings we've seen in 1,000 years. They murdered 12 million people, 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Trump is not a Nazi. So when you do that, you thought it. Let me finish.
You've just done what you normally do. I have said he uses Nazi terminology, and that's a fact.
Right.
Saying people are poisoning the blood of our country, that is Nazi talk. That is what I've said about Trump. I will stand by it, because if you're calling people vermin and saying that they're poisoning the blood of our country, you are lifting language out of the Nazi playbook. That is very different from saying that Donald Trump is perpetrating a Holocaust such as in the 1930s.
Right.
But what he is doing is straight fascism. That's not me saying it. Mark Milley, his former Joint Chiefs of Staff chair, said that he is a fascist to the core. His former chief of staff says he's a fascist. And the things he's doing, masked men snatching people off the street, not even showing any identification as law enforcement.
Let me ask you a question.
Men dragging women,
Let me ask you a question.
children into vans, fascism.
You've made this point.
Up. I will stand by that any day.
Let me ask you a question about immigration. It's a very interesting topic at the moment, as you rightly observe. What are the fruit you eat to stay healthy is actually making you fat? According to heart surgeon and uncensored sponsor, Dr. Steve Gundry, many Americans are making a common mistake with fruit that can cancel out its health benefits. Some fruits support digestion and even help burn calories, but others can disrupt your energy levels and stomach health. Dr. Gundry reveals the top 3 fruits to avoid in a viral video that's already been viewed by more than 20 million people. In it, he explains simple changes that can improve energy, reduce brain fog, support digestion, and even aid weight loss. You can watch the full presentation for free at thehealthyfat.com/Morgan. That's thehealthyfat.com/Morgan. It's also in the show notes. Don't miss this opportunity to learn how a few simple changes can make a big difference to your health. Visit thehealthyfat.com/Morgan to find out how. So my view, for what it's worth, as somebody who is an exceptional alien, is how it's described on my visa to the United States, but I have a home in Los Angeles, and I love America. I've lived and worked there for 20 years. My view is that most Americans, I think instinctively, do not have a problem with the principle
would not be singing
of
the same
deporting
tune if she
undocumented
went through
workers who
any of
commit
that,
crimes
period.
in the United States. Would you have a problem with that as a policy?
As a policy, if people get a hearing and they go through a process, sure. But
Okay.
that is not what's happening.
No, I'm going to come to the next bit.
Hold on, that is not what's
Joy,
happening.
I'm going to finish my point.
It's not what's happening.
I wanted to see what you were prepared to agree with me about, because I think it's healthy to the debate, right? So we both agree about that, which is good. Now, I don't think that they should have pressed the button on deporting as many illegal immigrants who are there undocumented, but who've not committed crimes in the way that they're currently doing. That they should have sorted, first of all, people who are in the country illegally who commit crimes and deported them. Everyone would agree with it. But I agree with
Me
you.
too.
The wholesale pulling of people off the street who may have been in America
I feel the
for
same
many
way,
years,
Matt.
got families in America who pay taxes in America. You only have to talk to farmers to understand the devastating impact this may have. So on that, I would agree with you. But I also think that, and I hope you would agree, that Donald Trump has pretty much stopped completely the number of people coming over the southern border illegally. And under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, over a 4-year period, as many as 10 million people are believed to have come over the southern border illegally. Now, you must surely think that the Trump way of securing the southern border is better for the United States than the Biden way.
Watch what magnesium does to your bowels.
If you have to wipe more than 4 times after you poop, here's why.
The Mayo Clinic confirms that stuck poop can cause these embarrassing skid marks in your undies. You see, when stuck poop...
First of all, if those are Donald Trump's numbers
Whoa.
about how many people came in over the southern border, I don't buy them at all.
What
I don't
numbers do
trust
you
anything
buy?
Donald Trump says.
What numbers do
And
you buy?
let me go on.
Well, how many do you
Let's
think
just
it
say
was?
let's just say it was.
Well, Joy,
10
how many
million.
do you think it was?
No, let's just say I'm going to stipulate to you. Let's just say it was 10 million people. Are you asking your viewers to believe that 10 million people were in the country raping and robbing rather than working on farms, working on construction
No,
sites?
I didn't say that.
We have to
Yeah.
recall that so again, being in the United States without documents
I'm
is a
afraid
civil
so.
offense. It is not a felony. And so the reality is, if it was 10 million people, we have to ask ourselves, what is the pull? America has always run, from the time that people who looked like me were enslaved, on cheap labor, on free labor to start itself as an empire, and then on a constant pull of cheaper and cheaper labor. That is a pull that is pulling people over. And then, of course, there's the push of the destabilization in Central and South American countries. That is the push. That push-pull is a fact of life. And it was a fact of life when Donald Trump was president the first time.
But what's that
The
got to do
difference
with
is
how many
now-
come over the southern border
difference is
illegally?
the difference is now, if you let's say where you end all undocumented migration to the United States, all that would do is put a burden on the pull part of it, because you have industries that desperately rely on farm labor, on construction labor.
But why
et cetera.
shouldn't you
So
have
I
a
think that's
system?
not an
but Joy, why
raising
should
it to zero does nothing to change my life.
But Joy,
for the better.
why shouldn't
but
people?
what it's done is
why
you're
shouldn't
having
people? Let me just ask you. Why shouldn't people do what I had to do, when I wanted to live and work in America. And then just go through a proper process and get accepted to be allowed to come into the United States. That is how a normal, well-controlled border works. So what you seem to be suggesting is that because America's economy needs a lot of workers, we should simply have a system where anyone can come in. And if that's not your belief, then how would you regulate the southern border?
I'm going to say to you that if the policy were applied the same across the board, that would be one thing. It's not. Marco Rubio's grandfather didn't do it the right way. He overstayed an order of deportation, stayed anyway, and was allowed to remain in the country. Elon Musk's brother says, and Elon Musk disputes it, but Elon Musk's brother said they overstayed their student visa, started a business which would have been illegal for someone on a student visa, were allowed to stay. They are white migrants, and somehow that was okay. What we're seeing is a selective enforcement of this outrage. If the person is brown, they need to be rounded up and put into quote unquote alligator Alcatraz, a concentration camp in Florida. If the person is white, we let them start a business and become Elon Musk. What's happening is that Stephen Miller has said he wants 3,000 people a day rounded up. And he has said he doesn't care where they have to get them. He wants ICE going into Home Depot. He wants them going on construction sites, going onto farms and dragging brown people and into detention. They're putting people in private prisons that are unregulated by the federal government. We've heard stories of people eating rotten food, having to use
you still haven't told me what you would do
for the restroom. And so the reality is what we have right now is we have a system of literal terrorism against brown migrants simply because Stephen Miller does not want them in the country.
As you know, they're not all brown, as you know.
Well, the vast majority are.
Well, but you haven't answered my question also. If you were running the southern border, if you were in charge, if you were the border czar, what would you do? Would you let them all in, or would you stop some of them coming in?
The first thing that I would do is to look at some of the actual legislation that's been put on the table before. You have a very small number of immigration judges who deal with people who are presenting themselves for asylum, which, by the way, is perfectly legal. It is legal to present yourself for asylum, but there are scarcely any judges doing that work. Multiple times, bipartisan, members of Congress, the House and Senate, have tried to pass legislation that would increase the number of those judges. If you actually had enough people to adjudicate asylum cases at the border, it would make that easier. I've actually been to the southern border and looked at the process and looked at the previous version of detention that Donald Trump did in his first term. First of all, it was horrific, and it was abusive even then to children.
And were you as outraged by Barack Obama's deportation program of over three?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that Barack Obama made some compromises that I do not think were morally sound in order to try to lure Republicans into doing the immigration reform.
Do you know how many people he deported?
Since Marco Rubio joined the Gang of Eight.
Do you know how many people Barack Obama deported in 8 years?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Well, why don't you guess?
I don't know and don't care.
Well, hang on. You don't know and you don't care. You've just given me...
Because it's not the issue.
You're
trying to make the issue the southern border.
Joy. You've just given me... Joy.
Joy. The point is...
Joy.
You've just given me... Joy. Was not dragging women and
let me finish.
Nursing babies apart and taking...
Joy. You've just given me...
I'm sure going to tell me it's your main issue.
You've just given me
but it's not my main issue. My main issue is that what we're seeing...
I'm trying to finish my sentence. You've just given me a lengthy monologue attacking Donald Trump's aggressive deportation policy. And I've simply said to you, there was a Democrat, a black Democrat president of the United States for 8 years. I'm simply asking, given that you're obviously all over every detail of the Trump deportation policy, and given you were on the airwaves in America on a daily basis through Obama's tenure, how many people did he deport in 8 years?
I do not know. You'll tell me, I'm sure.
Have a guess.
But it's probably more than 1 million people. I'm quite certain.
Have a guess.
Because I think each 2 million.
Right, it was 3 million.
Okay, and your point being what?
My point being, are you as shocked by that as you are claiming to be by Trump? If you're stressed about back taxes, miss the April deadline, or your books are a mess, well, don't wait. The IRS is cracking down. Penalties add up fast, 5% per month, and up to 25% for not filing. Tax Network USA can help. They've assisted thousands of Americans, from employees to business owners and people who haven't filed for years. They have direct access to powerful IRS programs and expert negotiators on your side. Tax Network USA knows how to win. You'll get a free consultation, and they may even be able to reduce or eliminate what you owe. So don't wait for the next IRS letter. Call 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/peers. That's tnusa.com/peers for expert help on your taxes.
I serve my country, and now I carry legally everywhere I go. Here's how. National Concealed Carry Reciprocity is here, meaning that if you got yourself a valid CCW permit, every state's got to recognize it, just like a driver's license. How about that? It's about time we got some good news for us law-abiding Americans who believe in our God-given right to keep and bear arms. Now, let me tell you, getting your permit has never been simpler. All you gotta do is punch in your zip code, answer 6 little old questions, and boom, you're all set. I went through the process myself. Didn't even have to step foot in one of them fancy classrooms. Took me all of 5 minutes on my computer, and I had that permit in my mailbox the very next week. Talk about convenience. And here's the best part. When it's time to renew, there ain't no requalifying or dropping a pile of cash on some stuffy course. You can skip all that nonsense. But listen up. These anti-gun, anti-freedom liberals are having a hissy fit over this. They hate seeing good folks like you and me exercising our rights without jumping through their hoops. They're doing everything in their power to slam this online CCW loophole shut by the end of the month. So don't let them win. Go on and lock in your permit right now before the system gets swamped or they pull the rug out from under us. Trust me, you don't want to miss this window and lose out on the chance to be grandfathered in. Just click the link I'm sharing, fill out those quick questions, and you'll be on your way to carrying nationwide without any liberal busybodies breathing down your neck. You'll thank me later for sure. God bless America, and God bless our right to protect ourselves. Tap that link below now.
It is not deportations
Many of them were
themselves that
brown.
are shocking. Wait a minute. Can I answer
in
your
fact,
question?
the majority were brown.
One moment. It is not deportation in and of itself that is what is shocking to people. There are 2 things that are shocking. Number one, well, I'll do 3. One, it is not deportation to render someone to a third-party country they have no connection to.
I agree.
Rendering people to El Salvador is shocking.
And that's why he's coming back.
That was not done by Biden.
That's why that guy's come back.
It was not done by George W. Bush. All right. So that is shocking.
Yeah.
Number 2,
that's why he came back.
People with deporting. Well, that's only one person. They deported more than 200
people. The case you're talking about, he's come back
to that gulag. Yes, but they deported more than 200 people, 70% of whom CBS has determined had no criminal record
whatsoever. But why
whatsoever.
are you changing the subject from Obama's deportation policy?
I'm telling you, the 3 things that are shocking are not deportations themselves. It's deporting people, number one, to third-party countries like the Sudan, where they have no ties whatsoever, simply for the cruelty of doing it, essentially paying third-party countries.
But I asked you about your response to Obama. Obama deported more people than any president in American history.
If someone receives... Piers, my family are immigrants. If there's the deportation process, at the end of that adjudication, you are deemed to be deportable and need to be deported.
But you're missing my point, Joy. Boy, I'm trying to politely ask you, do you condemn...
different from what we're seeing now.
But here's my point. In the interest of fairness, do you condemn Barack Obama's deportation policy, given that he deported more people... Let me finish. More people than any American president in history in his 8 years.
What an absolutely disingenuous argument, Piers. Because what people are yes. No, I'm gonna explain it if you'll allow me.
You didn't even know how many he deported.
Because I just said that, first of all, I think it was a moral compromise that I disagree with vehemently.
A moral
that Barack
compromise.
Obama made to try to lure Republicans who were never going to really come to the table for immigration reform. I
Right.
disagree with what he did. But if there's a process for deportation, that's one thing. If
Okay.
you are rendering people with no process, if you are rendering them to third parties, and if you are kidnapping them off the streets,
Yeah.
as if this is 1930s Germany or South Africa in the 1980s, yeah, that is what I find objectionable and I find fundamentally fascist and will stand by that every day. What Donald Trump is doing is a moral horror.
I hear
and
you.
if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you.
I hear you. All I tell you is that Obama deported a hell of a lot more people
But that
than
isn't
Trump,
the issue. The
and
issue
most
is,
of them were
was there a
brown.
process
And last
for
time I checked, Barack
deportation?
Obama isn't white. So it's may not be
And
a
what does
race
that have
thing
to
in the
do
way
with Barack Obama being
telling
black? Now
me.
you're the one obsessed with race. You want to make this a racial argument. The argument is that the Obama administration,
You made it a
the
racial
Biden
argument.
administration, because Donald Trump fixates
You said
on
Trump
attacking black
is
people,
deporting
attacking
people
brown
based on their
people,
skin color.
Well, it is what he does. He
Right,
plays
so
racial
did
politics
Obama.
as a matter of course. It is
Obama
what his
did it
politics
too,
are about.
only worse.
It's what his politics were all about.
Okay.
His politics are about removing as many non-white people clearly from the country as they can, 3,000 a
And
day.
that's what
That
Obama's
is
policy was
apparently
too.
the policy here.
That's what Obama's
apparently
policy
the
was
policy.
too.
No,
Only-
it was not. And there
only
was
as we
no
sit here-
rendering of people.
as we sit
there was
here-
a process for deportation.
sit
and
here-
you know that it's materially
As
different.
we sit here, Obama deported more people pro rata per year than Trump has
How
ever
many
done.
did he
Than
render
Trump
to
has
a
ever
third
done.
party?
Trump has
How
ever
many
done.
did he render to a third party?
get-
Because what he's also doing
You're
is
outraged
using
by
the
Trump, but
cruelty
you're
of
not
the
outraged by Obama.
I'm absolutely outraged by fascism and by
Sure,
snatching
but
people
Obama
off the
wasn't a
streets.
fascist
No
because
process,
he's
and
not.
absolutely,
yeah,
I'm
and because
outraged by it.
Obama's got
Absolutely.
brown skin, he's not a fascist. Is that your policy?
Well, that's your simplistic, racialized way of looking
Actually,
at it.
it's
Because that
yours
is what
about
you're
Trump.
doing on this show.
It's yours
of
about
course
Trump.
it is. No,
But
mine
let's
is about
move on.
fascism.
I want to
And
move on
Donald
'cause
Trump
we-
is acting
I don't
like
want to
Idi
spend the whole
Amin.
time
I'll give you
talking
a
about
black
this.
person that behaves the way he does, trying to take people's citizenship away, denaturalizing. That's Idi Amin behavior. There's
Okay.
a black fascist that you can compare him to.
Okay, let's move on to. I want to just play a clip of when you lost your job at MSNBC. Let's watch this.
My show had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV. And whether it's talking about any of these issues, and yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object, to little babies being bombed. And I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. And you know, I'm a church girl too, and those are the things that I was taught were of God. And so I'm not sorry. I'm just proud of my show.
Now, look, you're perfectly entitled to be proud of your show. Many people enjoyed your show for many years. You know, a lot of people at NBC were briefing that the reason was declining ratings post the election, a 47% decrease in your election, in ratings from pre-election. But you told Mark Lamont Hill on his show this.
After I said on my show that the reason Americans could relate to Ukrainians in a way that they didn't relate to Palestinians, that Ukrainians are white. And so watching white people get their schools bombed was, you know, hit different. That hit our ratings. I mean, it definitely, we could see the loss of white viewers from that moment that I said that. So they were like, we don't like the name calling. And also I'm a black woman. So, I mean, I'm sure it makes him angrier, you know, when I say things. Maybe because I am a global South person myself, you know, I mean, as a black person, we have a different empathy toward other global South people when they are suffering. And so we're going to come at that story from a different angle and in a different way and with different kinds of empathies. And I think that's not always received very well in the news business.
Now, Joy, I mean, look, let's be honest. I don't think you were fired after all those years because of your skin color or because you're a black woman. I think you were fired because your show just got increasingly unpopular. It happens all the time in TV. That's why you got let go. Why play the race card?
First of all, I love the fact that your play the race card is your version of the race card. You literally are so fixated on trying to racialize conversations with me, Piers, that I find it actually quite charming.
You racialize more conversations
in your
tenure at MSNBC than any host in history.
All right, Mark. All right, Piers. And the bottom line is you take an entire conversation that I had with Mark Lamont Hill and pick the bits that you can racialize because this is your shtick. And I get that this is your shtick.
You racialize everything, Joy. Come on.
I get it. And I understand this is your shtick, Piers. And listen, game recognized game. I get this is
it's
your
not
game.
My shtick.
And the bottom line,
it was your
shtick.
It
is your shtick, and everyone knows that it is.
Stick.
Piers, we
people got bored with it.
And it is so interesting to me that you yourself, as a white European, find that when people of color talk about race, that you believe is racializing conversations. But when people like you fixate on, well, Barack Obama was a black president, why don't you object to that? That is racializing a conversation about the former president of the United States. But you can't put your, and I'm sure you find that charming and funny.
I find it hilarious because you're the one. You're the one who said Donald Trump.
You and your friend Donald Trump.
You said Donald Trump is a white fascist.
Are so he is a well. I agree
and
with
yet
Mark
when Obama
Milley,
did the same thing,
last time I checked,
I'm not allowed to mention his skin color.
I agree with his former chief of staff, who last I checked was not black and said he's fascist. And Mark Milley said he's fascist to the core. Okay. So I happen to agree, and I know this is what it's important to you, with two very white gentlemen about Donald Trump's fascist tendencies. Okay. If that makes you sad and uncomfortable, I can't help you, Piers.
No, yes, it made me sad and uncomfortable.
I
think it makes you a little bit of a hypocrite, but that's different. Now, President Trump reacted to your departure by saying, low-life chairman of Comcast, Brian Roberts, the owner of ratings-challenged NBC and MSNBC, has finally gotten the nerve up to fire one of the least talented people in television, the mentally obnoxious racist Joy Reid, based on her ratings, which were virtually non-existent, should have been canned long ago, along with everyone else who works there. What's your response to that?
Need a toolkit? Here's 3 great options from Harbor Freight. The Pittsburgh 130-piece kit is compact, portable, and packed with essentials, perfect for home repairs and DIYers. The 225-piece Mechanics Toolkit provides more specialty tools for even greater versatility. And finally, this 301-piece Mechanics Toolkit includes the most used automotive and mechanics tools. No matter what you're working on, find the toolkit you need at Harbor Freight.
At Tommy's Express Car Wash, we know how to love your ride. Try the Works Wash with our signature 14-step cleaning process, engineered to shine and shield your car from the elements. Complete the clean with free vacuums and mat washers. Tommy's Express. Love your ride.
Many of us carry around bulky, worn-out wallets that are uncomfortable and full of junk. The big question is why? Ridge wallets can hold 12 cards plus cash with zero bulk. They're made from premium materials like aluminum, titanium and carbon fiber. And they're built with RFID blocking technology to defend your cards against digital theft. Ridge offers a lifetime warranty, so this might be the last wallet you ever need. The same lifetime guarantee applies to their key cases, suitcases and rings. All of them come with free shipping and a 99-day trial. For a limited time, get 10% off at Ridge by using code PIERS, P-I-E-R-S, at checkout. Just head to ridge.com and use code PIERS. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them I sent you.
If you are, I mean, it's fascinating to me that you think it's important that I care what Donald Trump says about me. It's a badge of honor. If he dislikes me, then I think I'm doing something right. I have zero respect for Donald Trump, and therefore, if he feels the same way about me, then the feelings are quite mutual, and I'm very, very proud of that and happy with it.
Okay, I want to play a clip. This is you talking about, you're attacking parents. You spoke out about their concerns about gay and paedophilia pornography books being placed in school libraries.
The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No,
No, wait,
we're
hold
talking
on.
about
No.
public school.
One moment.
All right.
Now, there's also a second clip. This is you talking about Republicans exploiting concerns by minors who identify as transgender. And you said this was an old age tradition which Nazi Germany did. Let's take a look.
In fact, there are more kids who have been exposed to gun violence, estimated at 3 million, than there are transgender Americans of all ages in total. Targeting trans people isn't new. It is an age-old tradition, which Nazi Germany did with brutally violent ends in the 1930s.
Now, the confusing part of all this, Joy, is what you really think about the LGBTQ plus, whatever it now is, community, right? Because as you know, when you started commentating about this, appearing to be a big ally, a lot of stuff emerged which came from posts that you had purportedly put up in a blog between 2007 and 2009, one of which said, most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Another said, I don't want to watch the two male characters in Brokeback Mountain. You were talking about having sex. Does that make me homophobic? Probably. You referred to the then Florida governor as Miss Charlie and featured the tag gay politicians. Now, you said at the time when all this emerged, I genuinely don't believe I wrote those hateful things because they're completely alien to me. I hired cybersecurity experts to see if somebody manipulated my words or my former blog. And the reality is they've not been able to prove it. Now you're not at MSNBC. Now you're on your own, doing your own thing, and you don't have to worry about repercussions and stuff. Are you prepared to finally come clean and just admit that was your blog and you did say those things?
You know, Pierce, I might have known that you would use this opportunity and interview and that this was your purpose, right? This is your purpose. And that's fine. This is your show and you can do whatever you like. You know, I could sit here and go on and fight with you about your strange, weird obsession with Meghan Markle, but I won't do that because that would be rude. But what I will say is,
if you want to.
We can do that as well.
Sure.
But the point being that I was very open with my employer at the time about what happened with that old site, which I stopped writing in, before I even came back into the NBC family. And what I have not really talked about publicly, but what I can tell you is that I had a very legitimate reason for being concerned about it because I was also on the radio at that time. And the things that I was literally talking about on the radio were quite the opposite of the things that were in that site. That is the reason that we began investigating what was going on with that site. And there was also someone who I do not know, who I still do not know, who had login access to my site for years that we did not even discover because I hadn't looked at the site for years. I don't know who that is. I don't know why they had access to the site. But had I not been open about that, I would have been definitely fired or there would have been some repercussions. I was open with my company about that. I've been very open. Everyone who knows me knows about it. And so if you want to argue with me about an old blog site, that's fine. And I'll take responsibility. I just asked you if you did write it. And hold on. And I'm willing to take responsibility for anything that was on that site.
Did you say them?
For you,
Did you say those things?
Wait. Listen, what I'm going to say is very simply
You said them.
What I'm going to say is very simply this, Piers.
You know you did.
The point that you're attempting to make now.
You just spun me an absolute load of old flannel.
The reason that you are trying to go here is that you're trying to defend the idea that Moms for Liberty and these other organizations can take books that are not pornography, that are not pornographic.
No, I'm just trying to see. I'm just trying to see whether you like to hold people to account, and I'm just trying to ask you questions about you being held to account.
For everything that was in that site, and I took responsibility for everything that was in that site, and I still take responsibility for everything that was in that site. I find anything that harms the LGBTQ community that was in that site repugnant. I apologize for it. I take full responsibility for it. But the point that I made in my conversation with the woman from Moms for Liberty is that they are making themselves the expert on books, which they are deeming pornographic by using a site called booklooks.com, looking for words in in the book that make them uncomfortable, and then attempting to ban books by the hundreds.
And out of interest, but just to be clear,
And so I asked her, do you think
books, all right, do you think school children at school should have access to books in their library which involve strap-on dildos?
Again, you're taking a book that has multiple subjects, and you're taking this award-winning book and dumbing it down to
I just asked you a simple question.
You may feel uncomfortable. And the bottom line is, these books that were published by publishers who had an opportunity to say no, looked at these books. These are award-winning books, and I think parents should have the opportunity to opt their children out if they don't feel comfortable reading those books, but that children who are old enough and who are of age and can choose the books they want to read and may feel seen in a book that you might object to ought to have the opportunity to read that book. That shouldn't be your decision. It shouldn't be Moms for Liberty's decision. I think each parent can make the decision for their own children, and I don't think that woman from Moms for Liberty or her organization should make that decision for other people's children. People ought to make decisions for their own children. And by the way, one more thing I'll add is that in the state of Florida, parents can opt their children out of reading books that they don't want to read.
All right, let me ask you.
She could have done that like any other parent.
Have you watched Brokeback Mountain?
No.
Okay. I mean,
what is the point of that?
Well, because you said I don't want to watch the two male characters in Brokeback Mountain having sex.
Okay, so what does me watching Brokeback Mountain have to do with that book, whether or not it is pornographic?
No, nothing to do with the book.
That is a book that people can have the opportunity to read if they so choose.
No, I'm not talking about the book.
I do not understand how an organization can make a decision. It is not about the movie. It is about whether or not Moms for Liberty.
I'm not talking about the book.
The organization who should make decisions for other people's children.
I'm not talking about the book,
whether
as you know.
I watched a movie or not makes absolutely no difference.
I'm talking about you posting on your blog that you wouldn't watch Brokeback Mountain because you don't want to see two male characters having sex. Does that make me homophobic? Probably. Most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Your words, not mine, Joy.
And your point is?
That maybe that makes you a bit of a hypocrite when you're taking the position of being an ally for the LGBTQ community. And actually, the best way to handle it, I would argue, is just to say, you know what? Actually, I did write that at the time. They're not my views now. I've learned, I've evolved, I've moved on. Trying to pretend even now that you didn't write it is preposterous. And I think you know that.
The bottom line is what I've said, and I will say it again, is that I take full responsibility for everything that was on that site. I'm deeply apologetic for the things that were on that site that hurt people, and I take responsibility for it because it was my site. And that's the end of that. And my views, as you know, and as I've said on television, on air, are quite different from the views that you just read. And that's the end of that.
Okay. Let's just end with this. Not everyone was upset when you were fired. Plenty of those white conservative men that you like so much seem quite happy. Let's just take a look at this clip.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
Joy Reid, probably the nastiest figure on MSNBC. The most left, the most vicious against conservatives and white people and men and all the rest. She has just been canned, fired, kicked to the side of the road. Her show is over. This saddens me a little bit because I did not yet have the opportunity to go on it. I am celebrating that there is no longer a market for her disgusting product. That's what I'm genuinely happy about. There has been a major shift. Her show and shows like her show no longer have value. And that's not just because of Joy Reid's favorite villains, you know, the evil white man or the Christians or the conservatives. It's because, like, no one watches her show.
So, Joy, I've actually got Michael Knowles waiting in the wings.
Great.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him?
No.
What did you make of his critique of your show?
Well, I mean, the reality is that obviously people watched the show, and obviously that's the reason that the show was on for 4.5, nearly 5 years. So if he didn't like the show, I guess, sorry you didn't enjoy it, but I really am not that interested in his views on it.
Okay, well, we've got Michael there. Michael, anything you want to say to Joy?
Yes, wonderful to be here, Joy. Very nice to meet you. And I guess I would agree with Joy's take. People watched the show in the past tense, and now there's no longer a market for that absolutely vile content. And I think that's good for the culture broadly. And now we can all chat on Pierce's show.
Joy?
The reality is, Michael, the content that you and Piers like to trade in is grievance. And the grievance that white Americans have, that they have to deal with.
I'm not American.
Diversity, that they have to deal
Joy,
with. You
this
just said
isn't
you
a
have a home in
grievance.
Los
I'm
Angeles,
British.
you love
I'm
America.
celebrating.
And by the way, white grievance is very good for your bottom lines. It's very good for your bank accounts. And so having me here to be able to continue to traffic in that is your shtick. That is what you do.
First of all,
That's
Joy,
what you do, Piers.
I have
And
to
so
correct you.
it's great. And I'm sure you find it delightful and fun to say it. But the reality is, Piers, that is what you all traffic in.
I
It is
have
what
to correct
Fox
you.
traffics in.
Well, first of all, I'm not a white
Joy.
American. I think as my accent may reveal.
Well, I know that you're European.
And I'm a tan
I'm
American,
British.
Joy. My only grievances are
and
tan
secondly,
grievances.
I don't
But
think
I'm not a
anyone. Michael, I will let you respond, but I don't think any host in the history of cable news has waged more grievance than Joy Reid. So the idea that you're now hectoring us about feeling aggrieved about things, you spent years being aggrieved about absolutely everything.
Excuse me, but your favorite president, the president who you completely support, is nothing but
My
grievance.
favorite
His
president was
entire
Abraham
campaign
Lincoln.
Was grievance. His entire campaign was grievance. Well, your former boss on The
I'm not
Apprentice, or
Donald
whatever
Trump.
you want to call him, your friend. The bottom line is that Donald Trump's entire campaign was about grievance. It was about white America feeling they'd lost their country and they need to take it back. It was about white America feeling that diversity was a threat to their children being able to go to Harvard. Their
And you know
grievance
what,
that
Joy?
inclusion
In the
and
end,
diversity was some
in
sort-
the end-
and that is the reason
and in the
that
end,
you all glom onto him
and in the end-
use him to further your own bank
Actually, in the
accounts. And I
end,
get
most
it.
Americans,
That's what you're
as you
doing.
know, most Americans, having voted for him in 2016, and after Trump spent 4 years in the wilderness, and we watched the Democrats run the United States of America, people took a look at that in America, and then they voted for Trump second time round in bigger numbers, including a record number of Latinos, who last time I checked, were not white. Anyway, Joy Reid, I'm going to leave it with you. Thank you for coming on Uncensored. Next time, I'm sure we can move on from the stuff we've talked about today and have a more current debate, perhaps, about other issues. But I appreciate you coming on and facing the music. And it's good to see you. Thank you very much. Well, let me come. I've got Michael and Nina Turner. Nina, you were, well, fair to say, looking quite aggrieved, ironically, about what you were hearing there. What would you like to say?
Pierce, I mean, my God, the way you were coming at Joy, she handled it beautifully, though. I think her...
Was I
certainly
unfair? I mean, did I say
yes,
anything?
Yeah, Pierce, you were. And
In
it was
what-
also
in what
unfair
way?
for me to be popping up on the screen like this at the last minute on this topic. So I just want your audience to know I didn't get any warning that I was just going to pop up here while you guys were talking that way. Yeah, just unfair. I mean, I feel like you were beating a dead horse, but Joy handled it. She handled
Is
it.
she
You
a dead
two
horse?
jousted.
Wow.
He was just reading
I
her
said-
words back to
no,
her, wasn't he?
The
You
topic,
calling
the
Joy a
topic,
dead horse?
Hey, to keep it all the way 100, he did. That was an ambush, bro. He did ambush her. He ambushed her right there, bro. That was pretty brutal. You gotta keep it real. Gotta be honest.
No, I am not. I'm talking about the topic. You kept going back and forth on this over and over again. She said they did an investigation.
You
She
don't
took
believe it,
responsibility.
Nina. Come on. Nobody does. Nobody believes it. Of course she wrote that stuff in that blog.
I'm just telling you.
If you have pink salt, apple cider vinegar, and baking soda in your kitchen and you're not using this recipe, you're missing out on an effortless way to lose weight. This is the last time I'm sharing it here.
I found it to be unfair. Okay,
Oh, come off it, Nina.
But let's talk about. Oh, come on. Let's talk about what you brought me on here to talk about.
All right, well, let's talk to Michael quickly first. So, Michael, I mean, it's quite illuminating, the conversation with Joy. I don't think it gets Joy. I never met her. She blocked me on Twitter ages ago, but I don't know what for. Probably for saying something complimentary about Trump, who she views as a Nazi. But that in itself is part of the problem with the Democrats now, is that the constant thing of the only way to tackle Trump is to try and persuade everyone he's a Nazi, he's a fascist, he's this, that. It just doesn't play anymore. It's not how most Americans see Trump. And the Democrats don't seem to have learned that lesson. They've got people like Obama and Clinton and Chris Cuomo and others who are trying to urge some common sense to come into this. I believe, I've written a book called Woke is Dead, coming out towards the end of the year, which I think is perfectly timed, because I really feel the world has just woken up and gone, we're done with this crap. We're just not having it anymore.
Certainly. I mean, I think in that last little segment there, it was total projection from Joy when she's talking about this anger, this grievance. You know, I think, frankly, Piers, I think you and I are two of the least aggrieved people in the entire media. Generally pretty chipper, cheery people. So, you know, obviously the left has been pushing this grievance kind of politics for a long time. Trump, by the way, when he was asked if he was going to take revenge on his enemies, he said, no, success is going to be my revenge. We're going to move on. We're going to make America great again for all sorts of different people. And of course, he did bring on a lot of people, many more than just white people, to his coalition. Record number, 46% of Hispanics, 1 in 5 black men to come over and vote, 40% of women under the age of 30. So he built a very large coalition here. And this is what I think Obama is so worried about, because Obama was one of the big promoters of proto-wokeness. It was Barack Obama who lit up that White House in rainbow colors. It was Barack Obama who was attacking the police at Harvard over the Gates affair. It was Barack Obama who said the cool clock Ahmed kind of racial identity politics, and it spun out of control. So now you're seeing this run away with them. The Democrats got creamed in the 2024 elections, and he's saying, whoa, guys, bring it back. Don't seem so aggrieved. Don't seem so weak. You got to toughen up a little bit, guys. I just think it's a little bit too late. He's being hoisted with his own petard.
Yeah. All right, Nina. I mean, just to remind you what Obama said, it's going to require a little less navel gazing, a little less whining, and being in fetal positions.
Well, listen, this is probably one of the only things that Michael and I will agree on. I believe that President Obama is late to the party on this. I wish he had taken some of the advice that he's given. He should have spoken out in 2016, in 2020, and also in 2024. We should have had a robust primary, which we did not, we being Democrats. So I want your audience to know the Democrats did not have a robust primary, because we had denial among the leadership, not the faithful. And Pierce, there is a difference between the faithful of the Democratic Party, just everyday people who believe, versus the out-of-touch leaders. So while President Obama's premise is correct, he is late to the party on this, and I feel as though he has very little credibility on it unless he calls out what happened in 2016, 2020, and 2024. Now, the point about the Hitler thing and Democrats.
Yeah.
Now, J.D. Vance.
No, I know.
I'm going to jump in here and do this dance now. J.D. Vance said that about
he did.
President
And he was wrong
Trump
too.
as well. And then he turns around, now that he was made the vice president, now all of a sudden people want to pretend like he didn't say it. Now, Pierce and Michael, I have been one of the very few disgruntled Democrats, because I don't roll with these neoliberals, and that's why they don't like me. I get it from the right, and I get it from the neoliberals.
Good for you.
But I am one of the very few Democrat-adjacent leaders to say comparing President Donald J. Trump to Adolf Hitler is out of line. Secondly, I said to the Democratic Party, if that is the only way that you can try to win, instead of trying to win on your ideas, go sit down somewhere. Because people are sick and tired of hearing it. I want to hear, and the voters and the people that I still talk to, they want to hear about what you're going to do for them, and not necessarily always hearing about what the other candidate is not doing. The Democrats had an opportunity in the first 2 years of President Biden's presidency to push agendas and to be bold and to be brave and to stand on it. And they refused to do it. So now, although I don't like what President Trump is doing, I don't like 99.9% of what he is doing. What I do applaud is the fact that he knows how to use power. And I hope that the Democratic Party gets a clue and stop making excuses. So Pierce and Michael, I and others who abhorred comparing this man to Adolf Hitler, that ought to be acknowledged, because I think that was too far. J.D. Vance went too far. You can be in disagreement with the president. But don't do that. Historically, it's ahistoric.
We all agree.
For people to do that.
We've reached a great point in this panel where everybody is in total agreement.
Well, that might be the only point we're going to agree on.
Well, let's turn to something which is very interesting, because it's actually splitting the Republicans. This whole thing, Michael, about the Epstein files, where it looked like we were all being taken down the hill by the Trump administration. A lot of people, Lena Haber came on my show, couldn't have been clearer. There were all these names, all this scandal stuff. It was all going to come out and just had to be patient, etc. Pam Bondi issuing binders to people and so on. And then, bang, the shutters came down. Elon Musk suddenly did his bombshell post.
Hey, these darned Epstein files, I'm going to tell you, like, right now, I'm starting to feel like the shit was a hoax, too. Like, don't get me wrong, like, something is going on with these Epstein files, but they embellished on a lot of it just so they can have people scared and have people in their back pocket. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of that they went and partied with the dude and did some fucked up stuff. So, all they did was come, hey, we got this Epstein list with all these Epstein characters and stuff like that, and then straightening up, you know what I'm saying? Started up their ties and all of that type of shit to make sure that they, you know, don't get caught or exposed, which made them be slaves to the folks that keep claiming that they got an Epstein list. Oh, you keep doing this, I'm gonna expose the list. If your name is gonna get exposed on the list type shit. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. Something with these Epstein files, it just don't seem right. Don't seem like it's actually there. Just like everything else. Like when you consider everything else that the Democrats has ever came up with, ever said, ever led with, anything, bro. This shit has all been lies. 9/11, all that shit, man. Everything, bro. The fucking global warming, the climate change shit, every fucking thing, bro. Every fucking thing. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. The Epstein shit, I just don't know, man. I don't know.
Post as he fell out with Trump, saying Trump's in the Epstein files. That's the biggest bombshell. And then the next thing, the whole thing gets shut down. Trump, it's been quite interesting how he's trying to navigate this, because the MAGA world is not happy about the way this has been closed down. But Donald Trump has now gone on the attack against what he calls stupid Republicans. Let's take a look.
It's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier. That turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work.
How Gen X are getting their teenage bodies back.
So this is my mom and this is my grandma. I recently posted a picture of the three of us and people were shocked. They are demanding to know your secrets. So what are they? Is it some new trendy diet?
Nope. I love going out to eat too much.
So then what's your go-to workout?
I don't work out.
You have to tell me what you're doing.
This is gonna sound kind of funny. I learned it from Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris?
He just does.
I mean, Michael, strong words there. I mean, Trump going on the attack, talking about stupid Republicans. My past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. Is this a sensible strategy, do you think?
Well, I think Trump is in a terrible position. And I said from the beginning, I never expected us to get the Epstein files, because one of two things could be true. Either Epstein is what the government is maintaining, namely just a rich pervert who happened to pal around with all the richest, most famous people in the world, and those two facts have nothing to do with each other. There's nothing to see here. Move along. Either that story is true, or this guy really did have compromise on people. There might have been some blackmail. There might have been some association with intelligence services, in which case you also were never going to get any more to that story. So I never really had any illusions that we were going to get a radical transparency. And frankly, I'd even go further. The government could have reasonable and even virtuous explanations not to release everything because of potential defamation, because of threats to the world order. So I grant all of that. I am a plan truster. I appreciate Trump's position, but the government needs to have some better messaging here. The government needs to explain to people why these sorts of this sort of information might not come out. What the people want, I think, is not primarily radical transparency. What we want is justice. Horrific crimes occurred on this island and in other properties. We want the perpetrators to be held to justice. So the reason why now I think Trump is being reactive is he sees guys like Thomas Massie, who's a political enemy of his in the Republican Party, teaming up with Democrats to try to push this issue. So I think he's just trying to punch back. But Trump gave himself a little wiggle room. If you caught it, right outside of Marine One, there was a clip. He was going off about how he wants people to stop talking about Epstein, but he wants all credible information to come out. I thought that was a way that maybe he's leaving himself room to pivot.
Yeah, I mean, Nina, it's an extraordinary situation. If you're the Democrats, you can just sit back and watch this unravel, because it's the conservative right ripping itself to pieces.
Well, I don't want to play games with this, so Michael and I might have a little bit more agreement here. You cannot dismiss the concerns of the people, and that is exactly what they want. They want justice. President Trump is being a hypocrite in this case. It was President Trump who said that he would release, interview after interview, when he was asked as the candidate for a second time, he said he would release the Epstein files. Now, all of a sudden, there's nothing to see here. So on one hand, the Republican Party purports to care about young girls and women and all the allegations, right? Every allegation might not necessarily be true, but why don't you release the files, or at least, to Michael's point, give the American people a better explanation other than to say, number one, nothing to see here. Number two, it's a Democratic hoax, which it is not. And number three, President Trump is jumping on his own supporters. Now, all of a sudden, they're weak. They're no good. He doesn't need them anymore just because he doesn't want to do what he said he was going to do. He's the one that made this promise. So much for draining the swamp in D.C., because the president on this issue, he's swimming all up in it. He backstroking in this swamp.
I mean, it is an interesting. I mean, as a journalist, I look at this and I think, how can you only have one person in prison right now connected to the Epstein scandal?
Exactly.
Right? When we know he trafficked so many young underage girls, we know he was an appalling pedophile. How is it that the only person in prison is a woman, Ghislaine Maxwell,
That's right,
who was his madame and fixer and absolutely deserves her punishment, but no men, Michael, at all? I mean, Epstein cheated justice, or maybe someone cheated it for him. There's a lot of speculation raging about it. We don't know for sure. But I just find this fact that we know how widespread this crime scenario was, and yet there's no man who's been held accountable.
Well, this has become the new joke about it. I guess, you laugh or cry. And the joke is that Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person ever put in prison for trafficking girls to no one.
Right.
So obviously there are people, it's not that we need some kind of formal sheet of paper, 1, 2, 3, 4 with a client list. We know that Jeffrey Epstein had associates. But I totally sympathize with Trump here. You got to remember, this issue long predates President Trump's political career. Trump did know Epstein, like apparently every rich, famous person did in the world. But he kicked him out of his Mar-a-Lago club. I've talked to highly credible sources who say Trump is not in any way seriously implicated in these files, but lots of other people are. And so I think Trump's frustration here is, look, I'm doing great on the border. I'm doing really quite well, and maybe great on on foreign affairs. Everyone told me the economy was going to collapse. The economy is doing great. I've got all of these major wins, and you're forcing me to talk about some political issue that might even involve international intelligence that predates my presidency by 10 years. And I think he's frustrated. I get that frustration, but I don't think this issue is just going to go away. There is a reason why it's stuck around now for over a decade.
Yeah, I mean,
even though he's frustrated, I mean, he could be frustrated, but he's president of the United States of America, so he has an obligation. You know, he just can't get out of this. If the president was President Biden or President Obama or President Bush, let's name some others, none of them should be off the hook for this. Even though it predates him, he is the one who said that he would release the file. Pam, but his AG said that she had on her desk the files.
I was babysitting for a very famous family of billionaire women in Los Angeles that you sure know whenever my bosses had to travel, they would take me on their private jet, which seemed like a dream, but I wasn't allowed on the main part of the plane. Instead, I had to stay in the cabin with the baby all the time.
Now, all of a sudden, you don't have the files. Which is it? President Donald J. Trump is in a corner on this. And the only way, he doesn't really know how to get out of it other than to attack people. So now it's a hoax. Now he's attacking his own voters. So we can't have a double standard here, gentlemen, for President Trump than you would for any other president. It doesn't matter all the other things, Michael, that you laid out there. The fact of the matter is that the majority of the American people want an answer and they deserve it. And you know who else deserves it more? The victims deserve it.
Yeah, and let's not forget, as I've been reminding people, that the son of the late, great Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Andrew, paid one of those victims a reported $11 million, despite insisting he'd never met this person, and that the photograph of his arm wrapped around her when she was 17 was a fake, despite everyone believing it is genuine, and that woman, Virginia Giuffre, recently and incredibly tragically took her life. You know, this scandal has long legs and has incredibly serious consequences for everybody involved.
Right.
And again, the idea the only person that's been held accountable is a woman just seems preposterous.
Outrageous.
Thank you both very much indeed. Michael, it was great to finally get you to meet Joy Reid in that way.
Thanks for making the introduction, Piers. You really bring a lot of people together.
Next time I'm in town, we should all go out, the four of us. What a fall that would be on the town.
Yeah, the four of us. You absolutely, let's do it.
I guarantee one thing, we'd have a very entertaining night out. And Michael Knowles, one of the more civilized human beings I've ever met in the United States. So one of the least aggrieved people I think I've ever had on the show. So I thought some terrible allegations spinning around there. Thank you both very much. I appreciate it. Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we ask for only one simple